So now that we're finally on Nidd, the team building is going to get a little spicy. So obviously we're going to start off with Milim and Shion, but now we are running green instead of red Freya because she has double single targets. Now if you look at the team, there's literally 0 stance cancels. So assuming that you went and got her relic, because that's the first relic you get from Nidd, you get stance cancels on her single targets, and then the whole Goddess Clause isn't going to apply to us. So this is going to improve our stance cancel rate over red. Now Liz we want specifically to have Tarmiel because she's going to be on either an HP set or a triple defense set depending on your build. That's going to make her a lot tankier than everybody else, but it might put her at the highest HP because of that. So we're going to do triple defense to drop her HP, but even on a triple defense unengraved set, my HP still exceeded half the team. So we had to put an R rune on with 1 singular recovery rate roll. That was able to put us at the lowest, and therefore a perfect candidate for red Tarmiel. Card set's going to be the deer set. It's going to be the same as against the dogs. And that is the setup right there. And we'll go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so we're on floor 1, phase 1. Don't think there's really anything we need to particularly think about. Whoops. We're just going to pretty much drop our main attacks here. The only thing you want to make sure is that the 3rd or 4th single target card is your Amplify from Shion, because after 3 single targets, you are going to get 2 extra buffs, which is crit damage and crit chance increase. That is going to apply before skill activation, so as long as it's the 3rd attack, the Amplify will benefit from that. Phase 2, this is where the stance cancels start to matter. And we drew 2 extra ones, look at that. So we can triple stance cancel here. He does have 3 final damage decrease buffs. Now these are different from Deer's fixed damage in the sense that it's fixed to 1 versus minus 20% damage taken. These are removable stance cancels, right? We all know that. That's the whole main thing of running a Freya with a relic. Get your stance cancels up and going. Any phase 2 is obviously not going to be one-tappable, so we are going to slow down on the speed here. Also similar to Deer's phase 2, when you have to color cycle when he starts with that fixed damage. So, as we have set up, Liz has the lowest HP, so the single target extorts and the HP down is going to go onto her. And because it's an extort, he also has that extortion buff. So we can go ahead and cleanse it and buff strip. And then we don't need the stance cancel, so we'll just go ahead and attack. We can actually attack with Freya because that'll get her ults. And I'm assuming the Shion attack's going to do some pretty good damage, if not outright kill. Because it is a rank 2. Okay, pretty good damage. So this Freya single target should finish him off. And we're going to hit the last phase, and we'll see our first buff, which is increasing his attack for every debuff that he has on us. Now, he is going to start with another damage taken decrease, and he does have an immortality. So you're going to have to pay attention to this gauge. The gauge goes down based off of 2 factors, one being pierce attacks, which Freya has. The other is just attacks in general. So this scales based off of the level of the attack, and also ults have their own deciding factor there. So what we don't have is probably a for surefire way to get it to 0. This might this might kill. Double ult should be a good chunk. I want to say it's 40%. Yes, it is. So that puts him to 20. Our 2 rank 1s, 10% each? That'd be great. Oh, no, it's just enough. Perfect. So if you can't quite kill, if you can afford to leave him above 30% HP, I don't know if you saw, there were 2 attack-related increases there, so we don't want to have to deal with that. So either one-shot him or get him to 30%, but let's move on. Floor 2 is where we have some new mechanics we have to look out for. So he starts with 3 different statuses here, right? So he's got a damage recovery, which is basically when he deals damage with his spores, he's going to recover. He's got a blue mortality, which means it can be buff removed or buff stripped, and then his spores deal extra damage. So in this case, I think what we're going to do is the same exact opener. It's pretty much going to get him down to 0. On our turn, we're going to buff strip him to get rid of the immortality, and then throw in an extra attack to make sure that he does die. You want to get him pretty much to 0, because when you remove the buff, he is going to have like 10 fixed damage, or not fixed damage, final damage decrease buffs. So he will take very, very little damage. So we want to make sure that he's low enough for the buff strip to either kill or one extra attack to be enough to kill. So we're going to cleanse, get rid of all this corrosion, buff strip, and then we have an extra Freya attack. So I can go ahead and use one. And I guess I'll just move Liz. Don't need to burn anything here. Well, we have, oh yeah, 4 attacks. He actually died to the Liz buff cancel. That's funny. Alright, so similar to the first floor, he's going to have 3 final damage decreases. Though I believe if we remove all 3, he will have a damage dealt buff. But I'm not particularly worried about that. I'm going to go ahead and remove all 3. I have the Liz ult, so if he does good damage, I'll be able to heal up. And he shouldn't be too much tankier than he is on the first floor here. So I'm thinking in 2 turns we kill him. Yeah, that's a good damage there, 50%. And there's the damage dealt. So it's plus 50. My HP is a little out of whack, so he's going on a Freya right now. But we'll fix it up here with this Liz ult. We don't have a cleanse, so we're ult locked, we're dissolved. And we have a defense down, so that's a lot to deal with. He's stancing next turn. We can probably kill. Not worried about it. That's pretty much everybody's ult, so I'll just make sure that we do our strong cards. And that should kill no problem, especially since LR Liz's ultimate does have an attack-related buff there. 2 cards, all we need. Okay. We're full HP. Unfortunately, Freya was ult locked, so she won't have ults. Now, similar to the last phase 3, he's going to have a bunch of buffs, and we have an immortality gauge to look out for. So it's really easy to deal with this one. You just need to make sure that he's below 50% HP every turn, and it'll lose 1/3 of its gauge. He's got a lot of recovery, a lot of regen, damage taken decrease, again, immortality, which we know. So we just need to do good damage. We do need some mergers, though, because I'm not a fan of having all of these buffs here. Liz doesn't have a dissolve, so we could remove her buffs at the end, or remove Nidd buffs at the end here. Every time we attack, I believe he gets an extra stack. No, I think it's every turn then. That's fine. I'm hoping to get a cleanse now. We're definitely dealing a lot of damage there. More damage than we need to do. All that needs to happen is that he's below 50. Now, I'm not sure when he gets this. It might be when he's below 20 or 30. He gets an HP-related buff. It's probably not going to matter too much. We didn't get the cleanse, but we do have Liz ult, so we're probably going to have to pop that. He's got some good damage. Let me see if it tells us when he gets the buff. No. Don't rank up against him. That's what we do now. Not 100% sure. We'll open with the Liz ult. Again, can we clean our hand off? Maybe. We could Milim ult. We could save it. We don't need to do anything too crazy. Ooh, Freya could get ults. Ooh, I see what we need to do. Well, Liz ults 2 gauges onto Shion. So we just do 3 of her cards. Freya's already going to get her ult, so she should be good. And that'll put us in a good spot. Now, he is ulting the following turn, it looks like. So hopefully we get a cleanse. Oh, you know what? The corrosion tick wore off. Still no cleanse. I guess technically we kind of scuffed our draw with the setting our ults up. But we can just keep cycling the Liz ult and make sure that we end the floor with full HP that way. Even though we're taking a lot of damage. That's fine. We got good recovery right now. So he's ulting, he's got a silver card, he's got some buffs. So what we will do here is pretty much just ult with everybody. Make sure that I'm full HP with that lifesteal. I guess it wouldn't hurt to buff strip at the beginning. Make sure I maximize my damage. That's why he loses the final damage decrease buffs. Maximize our lifesteal. Every time you get him low, he is stacking that HP buff. Hopefully it doesn't matter. So the silver single target goes to Freya. Ult pops off as an explosion. Now, if we can't kill here, we probably would die, right? You get 3 stacks of that corrosion tick, and then an explosion. The recovery on this team is absolutely goated. So the Liz ult will pop off, or top us off. I was going to say pop off. And then we got a lot of attacks. A lot of strong attacks. So that's going to finish him off there. Lots of stalling has to be had here because of that immortality gimmick. But that's going to be floor 2. We will move on. Alright, so the final floor is where things get extra spicy. So we're going to see that he's going to start off with an immortality gauge. This is going to decrease in a similar fashion as the first floor, phase 3. Deal some pierce attacks and do some normal attacks. However, he is going to increase this gauge anytime he has an attack buff, which we'll have in a couple turns, and at the start of his turn. So the idea here is to literally just one-tap him. That's the best case scenario. And that's pretty much what all the best teams, in fact, do on this phase, right? We know Sins can one-tap, we've done that. Angels have been one-tapping since the dawn of time, and it looks like this unknown comp can also one-tap. So, I think the only team that can't is the Ragnarok team, but that team has a decent amount of utility to kind of stick with not having to one-tap. So, phase 2 is going to look a little different. He's going to have 4 final damage decrease buffs. Then he's also going to have a damage dealt increase buff. And just like before, this is going to be dealt with stance cancels. However, we want to only use them sparingly. And what I mean by that is literally only get rid of 1 buff. Then we're going to attack like normal. We could get Milim ults. We could also merge these. We don't need that many. I know a lot of people think that only 2 stance cancels with Freya is, you know, not a lot. But you really don't need that many to begin with, okay? Because you only want to use 1 every 2 turns when he has that 4th damage decrease buff. When he gets the 4th one, that's when he gets his damage dealt back, the other great increase buff. So every time we stance cancel, the gauge increases, right? So we don't want to have to deal with that. Now every time we do cancel a stance, we're going to see a weakness. This is how we can remove his gauge a little more than our normal methods. In our case, we got a shitty one because we got stances. This team does not stance, but that's fine. We're gonna do some merging here. Let's get that going. We could put ourselves at Liz ult's spot. Why not? I think he's gonna ult maybe the following turn. So I want to make sure that we are at least ready for that. Yep. So he's still going on to Liz, and she's really tanky. She does have 2 darkness stacks, so that might cause a problem, but we're good. We're chilling. There's the ults. So we're going to stance cancel, right? Because we also want to pop that counter off. And I'm going to stance cancel first instead of ult first, because you could expose an ult weakness. That would be ideal. I think what we'll do now is Liz ults. We'll rank 2 buff, because it also gives a defense-related stat buff. I'm not worried about actually cleansing anything. And then we can throw in this Milim attack. So that, puts him at 25. So we don't expose an ult weakness, we do expose recovery weakness, which is unfortunate again, because this team doesn't use recovery. Now, can we survive his onslaught? This is usually the deciding factor if the team is any good or not, is surviving this part. That Tarm Grace is looking real okay. Very, very close. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That was a little scary. We cycled our Liz ult, though, so we can at least heal. We can't cleanse, but we can remove his buff. So we'll let that merge there. Who do we ult with? That buffs her basic stats. That might not be terrible to do. And that's a good card to use right now, too. Why not? Now, if we could have exposed an ult weakness, right, we would have absolutely drained this gauge really quickly. Looks like each ult right now is only doing a couple, like 1.5%. We got a cleanse. He shifted his focus to Freya there, which was interesting. Okay, so we still have stance cancels. We got our cleanse right back. This is kind of what you want to do, right? Liz ult and then a Liz attack, and you can keep cycling her ults. So we're gonna go stance cancel. And then hopefully that's like an exposed weakness buff there. So we can do that. I'm going to hold the Liz cards for now. I don't really want to burn them. Can keep them for the next time that he ults again, right? Fully top off, and then we'll have our defense buff. That'll put us in a good spot. Looks like the weakness that we've exposed this time is a buff, which we only have one of. So, I mean, the game's really against us here. It's giving us the worst possible order of weaknesses that we could follow. And he's going on a Freya, unfortunately. But we can fix that right here. Liz Cleanse, I guess we have to buff. So why not? Get our Liz ult back. 1, 2, 3. He's not... Okay, the stance is on the next turn, so we're good. And look at that. That's quite the merger right there. Ooh, I should have used the Freya to merge that up. I'll get the extra orb. That's fine. Not that worried about it. He's only at 2%. If we can cheese the gauge to 0 while we have that Abyss, you know, that'll be pretty easy to deal with. Okay. Stance there, buff up. We can cleanse the buff. Hopefully this time we get the ult. Liz and Shion is a rank 2. I guess the Milim attack, why not? This is a slow and steady section of Nidd. That really does suck. Oh, you know what I should have done? I forgot to use my... Did I not use a buff cancel? Oh, that works. Did that a little out of order, but that's fine. It's not like the damage matters, because he's been chilling at 0 anyways. We finally exposed his ultimate weakness, so now we can like triple ult here, and he better die. Especially when the Abyss ticks. He should be at 0. Actually, he dies to this Milim, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. Okay. So we finally got rid of that. That took a little bit of time. Only because our RNG was terrible, right? We got the worst possible weakness order we possibly could have gotten. Now, he's going to have... What is even that? Demonic Beast Purification. So he's suppressed, I guess. 1000% regenerate. Immortality gauge is a different mechanic. So the gauge depletes based on his diminished HP. So the idea, I believe, is to deal basically a lot of damage every turn. It goes down a different amount based on how much HP he's lost, right? So best case scenario, you hit him with maximum attack, right? If we can get him, I want to say the most you can get off a turn is 25%, which I think is around anywhere from 50 to 70. Don't quote me on that, because I can't remember the values. But he's got no damage taken decrease buffs or anything like that, so we've got our crit chance and crit damage buffs. We're pretty much at maximum power, right? We're going to be dealing a good amount of damage. We saw 1 mil on that Milim a single target. There should be nothing to worry about. I guess the only thing that could suck are the poison bleed stacks that may eventually get the better of us. But I don't really see that happening, if I'm being honest. So yeah, 25% it looks like we got him off. Which is good for us. Gonna pretty much consistently be at 0. Now, I think you have to do this about 5 times, right? Because he's got 4 of these stacks. No. You only have to do it 4 times. Sorry. That's based on the immortality gauge. I'm not sure what the suppression does. I guess I could look at it. Maybe he does less damage with every stack. So he's losing them, which means he's going to be dealing extra amounts of damage. Now, we got lucky. He had a... What is that called? An oxidize? He had a down rank. A rank down, basically. Did I get it right? Bleed... Oh, it's just decreasing skill ranks. And then that decreased skill ranks, we lost a gauge. We had the merger here, so we're going to take advantage of that happening now. To do that, we see that he's stancing there. He is ulting, not worried about the ult, really. Just want to keep one of my Freya stance cancels. Let me use Milim ults first, just to keep the gauge moving. I know that's out of order. Technically, you would want to ult first so that you get that attack-related buff, but it doesn't matter. You're doing 5 mil. We're chilling. 390 on 390 on her. Was that a rank 2? Yeah, that was rank 2 because it merged. We need a cleanse. Oh, right. Did I have that already? I did. Perfect time. So when he ults, What is that? 5 ignites? 6 ignites. Good time to cleanse, if you can, right? Wouldn't want that to go to waste. So we'll cleanse, we'll Liz ults, we will stance cancel. There's not a counter. It's a reflect. And damage taken decrease. So we'll get rid of that, and then we shall... we'll do Shion. I think we've ulted more with Freya, because her stance cancels have that priority, so... This is pretty much his last legs, right? He's only got a quarter of the gauge left. And as long as this is good damage, which it absolutely is, 2 mil, he is going to be on his last legs. So he's at 0%. I think the same buffs might appear based on his HP value. I think he might have an attack-related buff when we get him kind of low, similar to 4-1. But we've got 2 strong ults. We've got Milim cards. We will be able to finish him off right here with no problem. 6 mil on that Milim ult. Absolutely insane. Obviously she's 6-6, but 6-6 doesn't matter, right? You just play his gimmicks right, and you will whittle him down. But that is going to be Nidd with the slime duo. If you guys like to, drop a thumb, maybe sub if you're into that, and I'll see you in the next one.